AskReddit by Yankee Vandal. What statistically improbable thing happened to you? When I was a teenager I picked up a hitchhiker and then a few years later the same guy picked me up when I was walking after I ran out of gas. Never saw him before or after those two occasions. What the fuck lol. My friend had two sets of monochorionic monoamniotic twins, the rarest kind of twins, in back-to-back pregnancies. Identical twins that share the same amniotic sac and same placenta. Mono or momo twins happen in about 1% of identical twin pregnancies, and less than 0.1% of all pregnancies. This is incredible and the most statistically unlikely thing on this list. Imo. I have identical twins, they're modi though, and the science behind twins, especially ID twins, as they are seemingly a glitch, has fascinated me ever since I fell pregnant with them. First got cancer in 1993. In 2003, they told me to get my affairs in order. I had 6 months. In 2021, they told me it spread to my bones and lungs. They gave me 5 years. In 2023, 2 years down and feeling about 90%. Fuck em. Just keep living out of spite. Got attacked by a robin in the morning, then attacked by a hawk 3 hours later. Weird day. Never trying that worms a million body wash again. Edit, and now this is in my top 20 posts of all time. God damn it, Reddit. I got a degree after aging out of foster care. I'm proud of you. Many years ago I had a terrible day where my then GF broke up with me, then I did terribly in a final exam for a college class, then I lost my wallet, and finally, as I was doing the Charlie Brown sad walk back home some random branch broke off a tree as I was walking on the sidewalk underneath it and the damn thing fell on top of me and hit me square across the shoulder and knocked me to the ground. I just burst out laughing because it was so ridiculous. This triggered an old memory from my uni days. I woke up one morning and a series of small things went wrong. Think spills, broken dishes, burned clothes while ironing, corrupted assignment file on my laptop, that sort of thing, one after the other, all morning. As I was leaving my hall of residence to head to my first class, I tripped and fell on the stairs. That was the last straw. I turned around, went back to my room, got back into bed and stayed there for the rest of that bad luck day. I have been hit in the head by live squirrels 3 times in my life, each on separate occasions. Did you have a hat that looked like an acorn? I was almost murdered in a case of mistaken identity. A guy came chasing after my car on the highway, waving his gun out the window. He eventually got in front of me, blocking my car, and stopped his car and got out. He came right up to my window, pointed the gun right at my head, looked me in the eyes and said sorry. Wrong chick, then got back in his car and drove away. I still have no idea who he was or who the right chick was. When you see somebody approaching your car with a weapon, run them over. You can do all the legal shit later, run them the fuck over. Stay alive. I underwent a surgical procedure called a stapectomy to improve the significant hearing loss in my good ear. Instead, I ended up completely deaf. My surgical end said this has only happened to 5 patients in the US. He was doing research to try to help me afterwards. I don't know how true it is, but hey, lucky me. My dad had his retinas spontaneously detaching. One popped off completely and the other was in the process. The surgeon told him not to worry because 100% of all his retina reattachments had been successful. The one that was in the process of detaching was fine, but after like 3 or 4 surgeries of the one that came off all the way, it kept popping back off and then the surgeon was just like, sorry bro. After losing an AirPod while skiing I was able to find it the next run. I lost an earring diving in a deep mountain creek. I paddled in the water over where it fell out and I shouted "watch this" to my GF and dove down 10 feet to the bottom and blindly grabbed a bunch of tiny river rocks in my fist and swam to the surface and held my fist high triumphantly. I swam to the bank to my GF and opened my hand and it was there with the river rocks. Lost my house in civil court. Represented myself and won in appeals court twice. Since my case was unique in this state, my cases were published both times. Moving back into my old house soon. Edit. Sorry for the late response. Reddit suspended me for 3 days for spamming the case links via private message, so I've decided to put the links here. https://law.justicia.com/cases/court-of-appeals-division-i/201/48903-1.html https://law.justicia.com/cases/washington/court-of-appeals-division-i/202.5364399-0.html Edit 2. Please stop offering me money. Just be a good person to your family and stand up to crooked lawyers and courts. Where can I read more about your case? Also, congratulations. I received my heart transplant after being on the list for only 7 hours. I had a friend of a friend in New York who needed an organ transplant. The doctor evidently told her, "You'll be waiting for a year here. Go to Florida. They have no helmet laws and year-round Sunday." She moved down and had a new liver in a few weeks. Hit by lightning. Sort of, indirectly. Lightning hit a tree near the wellhead while I was doing dishes. Exploded the tree, fried the well and gave me a jolt that made my metal fillings so hot they burned my tongue. Other than that, I was fine. Lightning hit a tree 20 feet from me, traveling through the water I was standing in from heavy rains, and through the metal cargo trailer I was also touching, looping through me twice basically. I woke up on the floor of the trailer with my dad and uncle looking at me like an alien dart. I saw an ad on a Pepsi case at a grocery store for a text to win contest to see Beyoncé in concert. I figured why not, and sent a text and was entered. A few weeks later I got a text back from the same number that told me I won the grand prize. I ended up winning 2 tickets to Beyoncé's Mrs. Carter World Tour in Brooklyn and $500 on a Visa gift card. Used the $500 for some bus tickets and a hotel down the street from Barclays. The seats were awesome and it is something I'll never forget. I had something similar. I randomly entered my name into a box on a Staples counter for an all expenses paid trip to Vegas, spending money, flights, hotel etc and won. However, I wasn't able to claim it because I was only 17 at the time. I instead received a $50 gift card. My dad's birthday was 3-3, my brother is 6-6, mine is 7-7 and my son is 11-11. For non-Americans, dad was born on 3-3, their brother on 6-6, OP on 7-7 and their son on 11-11. Went to a county fair and found a season pass on the ground with my name on it for people in my area with the same name and I know 2 of them. What are the odds of that? Apparently pretty high. Do you know Gabby Johnson, perchance? I had my car stolen from work and caught the thief myself the next day. My mom's car was stolen when I was a kid. The next day, my dad and I went to the drugstore and saw her car parked in the lot. She drove a standard and the thieves didn't know how to work the clutch. They didn't get too far. Unfortunately, the interior was trashed and the clutch ruined. Deleted. My cousin was killed Christmas 2021 sitting at a red light by a guy hitting him from behind at 60. The guy had had 3 DUIs. Why was that guy allowed to still be turning an ignition key without a breathalyzer? Fuck you, Massachusetts. He was a great guy who made it a better world. Taken out by a shithead with a proven record of making it a worse world. I was on a road trip with my cousins in the 80s. One of them kept playing the same song over and over by rewinding the tape and playing it again. The song was Another One Bites the Dust. After 3 plays in a row, the driver pulls out the tape, says enough, and turned on the radio. Sure enough, that song was playing on the radio right then. Back when I was in middle school, I had my phone ringtone set to the chorus of Have You Ever Seen the Rain by CCR. My dad drove me to my friend's house to pick him up and I called him to let him know we were close. The classic rock radio station was playing Have You Ever Seen the Rain on the radio. My friend called back and my phone and the radio were perfectly in sync to the same song. Would never have known it was ringing if it didn't also vibrate and light up. While attempting to get medical treatment, the DR's office ran a pharmacy report on my medical history and prescriptions. My terminally ill brother, whose full name was only 2 letters different from mine and we had the same address and phone number, was on a shitload of narcotics at the time, and through their search they pulled up his report and thought it was mine. They yelled at me and kicked me out of the office saying I was just looking for drugs. I was mortified and very upset, and they wouldn't listen to me when I said it was my brother and not me. I ended up calling the pharmacy board and they called the doctor and explained that since we had the same address, phone number and an extremely similar name, they had to search by social security number. The doctor felt horrible and gave me free treatment, and now he tells that story at conferences he goes to. It was crazy. So of course. Good for him for owning up to it and sharing it to train other doctors. Picking the slowest checkout lane in the grocery store every single time for the last 40 or so years. I, too, have bad checkout karma. It would be funny if it weren't so annoying. I once met a guy who had been born on the same day as me, at the same hospital, and we both had similar birth names. His name was the first 4 of my name. We also weighed the same, and we found out later that we were born within minutes. If I was 12:02, he was 12 o'clock type close, of each other. Also, we were both born 6 weeks early. Same color eyes and hair. Our moms worked at the same Walmart, and that's how we met. We lost contact a year or so after his mom quit. Sometimes I remember that kid and wonder how the fuck did that happen and how the fuck did we meet? IDK the stats on any of that, but it's gotta be pretty damn low. I sat down once on a bench in a park. The guy next to me had the same sneakers, same pants, same coat. He also had the exact same haircut, beard. He was also eating the exact same sandwich. I was beside myself. I was on a train that derailed. Oh no. Did you die? This is the dumbest story ever, but the one time in my entire life that someone asked me if I wanted to buy a pair of shoes at work is the day, a few hours later, that the sole of my shoe came off. So yeah, I bought the shoes. Co-worker's husband bought wrong size shoes and not sure why they couldn't return them. Your co-worker cut your sole when you weren't looking. Boom, easy sale. I ran into an emu with a book in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. Where TF does an emu get a book? My mom gave birth to me after sudden onset of labor at 37 weeks and 6 days gestation. Had a C-section because I was breech, born at 9:48 am. I gave birth to my child after sudden onset of labor at 37 weeks and 6 days gestation. Had a C-section because my daughter was breech, born at 9:48 am. Seems statistically improbable to me, but maybe not super odd. My wife and I, both right-handed, had 2 left-handed kids, which has around a 1% chance of happening twice. That's so interesting. I looked it up because my husband and I, both right-handed, have a left-handed kid, but we just have 1 kid total. Apparently, 17% of identical twins have 1 left-handed twin and 1 right-handed, and the chances of both twins being left-handed is 4%. Your kids both being lefties is more rare than twins being lefties. That's nuts. I've accidentally walked into a riot on 3 separate occasions in my life. How can that happen? Surely you can hear it. Was it a quiet riot? I got bit by a groundhog. I've never researched the odds of getting bit by a groundhog, but it's gotta be pretty low, right? Do you now have the strength and skills of a groundhog? I was hit in a crosswalk 2x as a pedestrian by the same person. The incidents were 4 years apart and in different states. Correctly guessed all the numbers of the California lottery 20 years ago upon arriving in my hotel room and turning on the TV at the drawing time. I keep running into the same ex every few years, no matter where I go on the planet, 30 plus years. We have equals not equals stayed in touch. Well, you haven't. He evidently has. I was swimming about 20 yards away from shore where it is about 15 feet deep in Lake Erie. Water is a little cloudy, with my glasses on so I can see. A wave runner rushes past and the wake knocks off my glasses. I make a few dives. Try and mark my location with landmarks. Swim to shore, explain what happened and ask people if they have a mask or goggles I can borrow. Someone does loan me their goggles. I swim out and dive about 20 times. I decide I am going to take 2 more dives then end it and drive home to Chicago without being able to see. I go down and a base swims under me. I decide to follow it since I had never been so close to one other than fishing. It swam over my glasses. I shoot to the surface with my glasses in my hand. The beach erupts and cheers, apparently the word got out. I was elated and stayed to camp and party with my friends, mostly old and a few N. Had my tonsils out, twice because they grew back. Let me tell you that throwing up blood that runs down the back of your throat after surgery was an exorcist level event. I'm glad the pain pills were huge that I had to break up into smaller jagged bits. I had my tonsils out and the exorcist level event happened to me as well. I was hospitalized for it. It was one of the scariest things I've ever experienced. I was prepared only for a little bit of blood and spit. It woke me up out of my sleep and happened to me at 8 AM when I was home alone, as a teenager. I called my mom and screamed for her to come home. Looked like someone had been murdered in my bathroom. Turns out they cut too close to an artery. Flipped a coin over a wooden floor in a gymnasium. The coin rolled into a gap between 2 slats. Held up by the wood, it stopped rolling and stayed there, standing straight up on its edge. TLDR, heads, tails, or edge. I flipped edge. I've been hit by 2 F5 tornadoes, both of which hit the same house. Made a living as a musician all my life. We all live vicariously through you. Fair play. My twin sister and I hit the same answer to rock, paper, scissors 14 times in a row. My husband thought we were cheating, haha. Gotta love the power of twins. My husband and I did this at Disneyland, much to the amazement and frustration of a cast member at Tomorrowland. We hit the same thing, and it wasn't like we both hit rock the entire time. When we switched it up, it was both of us hitting scissors or paper, and we did it 12 times in a row. Finally, I beat him. When I turned 23, I met my 2 biological half-brothers. They showed me a photo of them with our father, and in it they're all smiling to show how the 3 of them are all missing a front upper middle tooth. When I was 7, I lost my upper middle front tooth, making it all 4 of us. My BF's mom was telling me and showing me pics the other day of how all 3 of her sons all got their canines in before any other teeth. They all looked like cute baby vampires in the pics. Waking up in the early AM to first responders knocking on the door because someone gave the wrong address to 911, twice. And this was at 2 separate addresses. Cops for a domestic abuse call in 2018. Turns out neighbor was shouting at their dog for going into the trash. M's for someone who fell and can't get up in 2022. My hand-eye coordination is horrible. I can't hit where I aim no matter what. My husband and I were throwing leftover water balloons at each other when miracles of miracles. I aimed for his chest and hit his groin. As he was doubled over screaming in pain, I let another one fly. That one landed in his wide open mouth perfectly. I was so proud of myself. Thank you so much for this. I needed a laugh. I can just picture it. I have seen a white hummingbird. I have personally seen 2 sets of albino twins from the same white-tailed deer. It's pretty awesome to see a white animal that isn't supposed to be. Got left a written message to call a girl, mistakenly called another girl instead with the same name. We've been married for 14 years. That would be so aggressively forward when she picked up, but was confused as to why you were trying to schedule something if she didn't tell you right away. Been struck by lightning 3 times. Shocking, I know. Broke free of a 10-year addiction to meth. Took a very long time to feel some kind of normal again. 10 years clean this year, woohoo. Edit. Thanks for the kind words. Started dating a woman about a year after my divorce. After dating for about 4 months, I learned that the man my ex was dating had the same last name as my girlfriend. No relation and not a super common name. We ended up marrying our respective SOs, so my ex-wife and current wife essentially swapped last names. I was driving with the windows down and my friend was riding shotgun telling me about his friend, nicknamed Bird, whose death anniversary it was. We stopped at a red light and a feather flew into the car and landed on his arm that has a feather tattooed for his friend. My college advisor in HS did some bullshit ass calculations on his computer, flipped the screen around and it said I have a 1.34% chance of getting into the school I wanted. Guess who made it in that bitch? And I got the degree now too. So you're telling me there's a chance? I have a very rare type of cancer. It is about 3% chance relative to other cancers of the same nature. It is metastasized, which is about 1% or less chance of this type of cancer. I also won $20 on the last 3 scratch and win lottery games I got for various Christmas and birthday gifts. I accidentally caught a guitar pick at a My Chemical Romance concert 12 years ago. I was standing there and had my hand at my side with my fingers kinda halfway to fist. I felt something hit my hand, looked down and it was just there. It was at the amphitheater in Bonner Springs, KS, so not a small crowd either. I stepped in bear shit on my wedding day. Twice.